For many years, a guy named Kurt has been trying to become famous online. He does all sorts of things on his channel, Kurt's World 96, including Draw My Life videos, gaming, reviews of shoes, and talking about his favorite keyboard shortcuts. He also shows off his dad, Chris, who works as a DJ and divorced Kurt's mom a long time ago. Kurt resolved to be a good son and live with his mother while earning money by babysitting. Regardless of how much he records, Kurt has unable to find a faithful audience for his videos, with his numbers never reaching the double digits. This is in stark contrast to Bobby and his channel, Bobby Basecamp, a boy Kurt used to babysit who is now a well-known influencer. Kurt considers himself a buddy of Bobby's, but Bobby only tolerates him and pushes him away from his own camera. Kurt reaches a breaking point after 10 years of failed streams and is ready to give his channel one last attempt with what he calls The Lesson, which is designed to teach people how to develop an online following. He begins by stocking his car with cameras and water bottles, claiming that this is step one of the lesson. If you're not filming yourself, you don't exist. Kurt will use this car to drive for Spree, a ride-sharing app, and the first passenger he picks up is a man who refuses to wear his seatbelt and is skeptical of the cameras, but Kurt simply assures him they're for safety. This guy also preaches the gospel of white supremacy, and Kurt's worried that this racism could hurt his live streaming audience, which is currently just Bobby, so he begins driving a bit more recklessly. The guy complains, but Kurt just encourages him to drink his free bottled water. It turns out that the water has been tainted, and Kurt even created a video instruction on how to do it without being discovered. Kurt then turns on some music and accelerates through a stop sign, while the man dies in his rear seat, coughing his life away. Kurt's single spectator, Bobby, believes the kill was staged for attention, but Kurt is happy with this because it is part of the lesson. At first, no one should be able to tell that what he's doing is real because he wants to get as many done undetected as possible for maximum attention later on. Kurt's next passenger is a snippy realtor who leaves her sign in the trunk. After some chit-chat, she goes for a water bottle by her own choice, quickly becoming Kurt's second kill. Kurt goes to the back seat to show the body properly on camera, and even jokes that he may drink the water as well. At that moment, Chris calls Kurt to ask him for a ride, but Kurt just hangs up on him. Then he goes about covering his tracks, unlocking the woman's phone with her dead face, and giving himself 5 stars on the Uber app, then answering a text message with a harsh message so the woman isn't anticipated at a work meeting. Kurt picks up his next passenger, an unpleasant meathead named Mario, after disposing of the body. Kurt tries to play some of his own music, but Mario objects. He also refuses to drink from the free water. Kurt then detours to pick up another passenger, dismissing Mario's concerns because he chose the pool option. The passenger is a famous influencer and stand-up comedian named Jessie, who cancels the ride as soon as she hears Mario hit on her and walks away. Mario pushes Kurt into following her, and Kurt offers to drive her for free just to get her in the car. As he drives, Kurt hears she's got a huge following and asks her how she did it, to which she responds, "She simply is funny." Then Kurt keeps asking for help, and Mario keeps hitting on her with very inappropriate comments, so Jessie records everything for her social media before leaving the car, sick of these two creepy guys harassing her. Kurt is now unhappy since he missed out on meeting a real successful influencer, so he abruptly reverses course and drives Mario to a faraway construction site. He's been driving so fast that Mario becomes ill, and Kurt orders him to get out of the car to avoid getting barf on his seats. Kurt plays his own music at full blast and accelerates up to slam his car into Mario, causing the body to fly above the car and land on the front glass for a nice bloody angle for the camera. Mario moans but still exits because he needs to empty himself. After dumping Mario's body and cleaning the car, Kurt stalks Jessie on her social media and sees that she has a stand-up show that night. He sees this as a sign, saying that he and Jessie are two big things happening on the same night. Obviously, Kurt isn't big yet, since he's still having single-digit viewers and his only tipper is Bobby, who still thinks the murders are fake. That's because he's a very fake creator himself. He is always playing pranks on the homeless, and the one time he supposedly helped them, it was all acted for the camera. This is nothing like Jessie, who people like for how genuine and relatable she is. Kurt pulls over to the petrol station, where he removes the realtor's sign and refills the tank while arguing with Bobby, who tells him he's boring and should spice up his stream. Kurt tries to liven things up for his next passengers, a trio of socialites including Richard, Kendra, and London. After all, the blood has been wiped from the car. At first, Richard and Kendra are terrified by the way Kurt drives, but London is excited because she feels like she's on an adventure and jumps to the front seat to chat with Kurt. Eventually, Kurt goes off route again and drives the trio to a junkyard, telling Richard and Kendra to hang out the sunroof because there's a beautiful view here that is perfect for social media pictures. Richard and Kendra play along and actually have fun, but then Kurt begins driving faster and suddenly closes the sunroof, trapping his next victims while his song plays in the background. At that point, some wild canines from the junkyard attack Richard and Kendra for food, while Kurt uses a power drill he keeps in his car to murder London. Kurt then takes his car to the car wash and contacts Bobby for his assessment. But he doesn't witness Kurt's triple murder. He actually quit watching the stream because Kurt doesn't pique his curiosity. Kurt questions why Bobby hasn't given him a shout-out yet, as promised, and Bobby advises him to be more like Jessie, who comes across as genuine. Kurt revisits Jessie's social media, but jealousy causes him to react angrily in the most insignificant ways, such as suggesting she doesn't even tape her stories vertically. While a resentful Kurt drives to a suburban house, Jessie shares the video she shot in the car to burn Mario and Kurt. Then she visits her grandmother to take care of her while filming it for her social media. When the doorbell rings, she is concerned because they were not expecting anyone, but it is only a fellow stand-up comedian, Mike, who wants to discuss some work-related issues. Kurt is actually visiting Bobby, who orders him to go because they aren't collaborators or friends, and this is all happening in front of the camera for his viewers to hear on his stream. Bobby insults Kurt as he comes closer demanding help, and Bobby's fans end up going to Kurt's stream to see the other side of the argument. Kurt suddenly stabs Bobby with a knife as his stream finally reaches double digits. Bobby tries to defend himself with a gun, but after some struggle, Kurt overpowers him and kills him, although his audience believes it's all fake. Kurt jumps into triple digits by hosting his stream on Bobby's feed and even records himself showering to get rid of all the blood and going through Bobby's things. At that moment, his dad texts him, saying that he needs a ride to a gig. At first, Kurt doesn't want to help him because he wants to go to Jessie's show, but when Chris mentions he'll be meeting a famous DJ, the chat recognizes the name, and Kurt jumps on the opportunity. Kurt picks up Chris, and their father-son connection is plainly uneasy, resulting in a fight. Chris is surprised to see Bobby's gun in the car and scolds him for it, which sparks yet another dispute that doesn't end until they have to hide the gun because cops are approaching. When they arrive to the club, they meet with the well-known DJ known as Uno and ask her if she may tag Kurt's channel in a post. She initially says no, but after becoming bored of being there, she agrees to do the shout-out if Kurt drives her to a taco truck. Eventually, they find a taco truck, and Uno demands Kurt to take pictures of her and then wait in line for her as part of the deal. The queue is quite long, so Kurt shares some disgusting stories to scare customers away. Meanwhile, Uno looks around the car and finds the gun Kurt took from Bobby, which she uses as a prop to take a few selfies. Then she drinks some water, which turns out to be one of Kurt's unique brews, and she collapses. Uno is nothing but a body by the time Kurt gets back into the car with the meal, and he swiftly disposes of the water bottle. Unfortunately, the officers notice this and come over to ask Kurt to undergo a field sobriety test, while he says Uno is his girl, and she just fell asleep. Suddenly, Uno wakes up because she didn't drink enough to fully die. And seeing the cops, she panics and shoots one before running away. One of the cops goes after her, and when Kurt takes the chance to escape in his car, he's also followed. All this is boosting his live stream viewers all the way up into quintuple digits. Desperate to lose the cops, Kurt begins driving like a maniac and ends up crashing a homeless camp, killing a few hobos on purpose before his car flips. Meanwhile, Mike, who keeps bugging Jessie and claiming to have all kinds of contacts, has given her a ride to her event. This guy also performs a brief opening before her, but no one in the audience laughs. When Jesse takes over the stage, the audience goes crazy, and Kurt is hiding in a corner with his revolver. After a few of her normal quips, Jesse discusses her spree experience with Mario and Kurt, claiming that Kurt's lack of social media followers caused her to reflect. Happiness cannot be found in a large number of subscribers, and regardless of the amount of views, you are simply being criticized and despised for the enjoyment of others. She ends her show by breaking her phone on stage, signaling the end of her reliance on social media with a mic drop and leaving everyone stunned. Kurt is moved by her speech and tries to go without making a scene, only to discover that the spree service has been temporarily discontinued due to his murder spree. Kurt hails a cab via another app called GoGo and boards the vehicle of a friendly man named David, who instantly makes a joke about not being the crazy driver who has been killing people all night. Kurt takes this personally and kills David in a matter of seconds. Back in the bar, Jessie is tired of dealing with Mike, who won't stop recording her even if she dropped social media, and she decides to ditch him by calling for a go-go. David's car arrives, but it's Kurt doing the driving, and he reveals to Jessie that he's the driver from earlier that she made fun of in her set. He also tells her that he was at her show, so he knows she's not gonna be able to use her phone for help because she smashed it. Thinking that Jessie's helpless, Kurt informs her that he's taking her to his home so they can express love instead of hate. But Jessie fights back with a phone charger cord and strangles him until the car hits a trash container. Kurt stops the car with a huff and responds by punching Jessie, knocking her out. Then he drives her to his front lawn where he drags her body into his headlights. He polls the audience on what he should do with her, and the watchers choose he should kill her. Kurt gets ready to run her down as his viewers spam the chat. When he pauses to adjust a dropped camera, he loses sight of Jessie, so he gets out of the car to hunt for her, while the chat calls him out for his stupid decision. The audience is correct. Jessie takes advantage of the opportunity to climb in the car and take the wheel, immediately running Kurt down. However, she loses control, and her driving causes the automobile to crash through the side of his house, giving Kurt enough time to avoid it. He then attempts to kill Jessie by putting her face on the airbag, but Jessie knocks him off and Kurt runs into another room. While Jessie tells the viewers that she needs assistance and attempts to persuade them that this is true, Chris comes and is astounded to see the house wrecked and Kurt's mother dead on the floor. It's then revealed that she was Kurt's first victim, and that he murdered her off-screen just before leaving to give the lesson. Suddenly, Kurt comes out and grabs Bobby's gun from his car, which he then uses to shoot his dad a few times, quickly killing him. Meanwhile, Jessie tries to escape in the car, but when going in reverse doesn't work, she just drives forward and crushes Kurt against the wall. The chat tells her to check on the body, and Jessie does so to discover Kurt isn't dead yet. She's forced to finish the job by smashing his head with his phone while a flashback to a few minutes earlier shows Kurt feeling like a champ because he had 50,000 people watching. Then the chat asks for a selfie with the body, and Jessie goes for it. Kurt's case goes viral in the days that follow. Jessie becomes more renowned than ever as a multimedia queen, and while Kurt is reviled by all reporters, he is seen as a hero by some of the internet's scummier communities, such as 4chan and Reddit. As the love for Kurt grows in these forums, one member announces that they're developing a film about him called Spree,